Hey, Jeff Carlisa here from 38 Special, and we're rocking it up right here with Traders Nation.
Welcome back. You are tuning in to Traders Nation. My pleasure to have with us here today Taylor Letterman. He's cryptocurrency analyst over at Trader at Simpler Trading, rather. Taylor, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Good. So we're looking at cryptocurrency here today, and there's this big surge that's coming into the Bitcoin. What's going on there, Taylor?
There's quite a few reasons why Bitcoin is surging. Many of those could be bigger companies making moves into crypto, such as Facebook, Microsoft. Mm-hmm. We also have sort of a short squeeze going in, as well as coordinated buying. Many things really impacting the price of Bitcoin, as well as the other cryptocurrencies in the market.
Sure. Talking about the squeeze, so let's talk about that. Certainly the bear's been coming in, and the bull, coming in, and it's forced this short squeeze that's going on from the shorts. How big is it, and how wide could it be?
So right now, the key level for us right there in Bitcoin was $6,000, right around $6,000.
Okay. And
we just blew that level with a breeze, and I think right around that level we had a lot of front running.
Okay.
At the $6,000 level, many people were going to short Bitcoin, and around the same time we had an exchange that lost 7,000 Bitcoin to a hack.
Right.
And so naturally people want to jump in front of that news-driven market event and kind of begin shorting Bitcoin at that level too, and ended up not being a non-event and quickly recovered. So Bitcoin just blasted through that 6,000 level.
That's interesting. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Biance is the company that got hacked into. Very interesting story there, but nonetheless, well, we can touch on it now, actually. Let's do this. So Biance got hacked into. 7,000 Bitcoins were stolen, if you will, out of that. That kind of gives us an indication that there's still some work to be done on the security side with Bitcoin, right? And how Bitcoin is going to transfer in between each other. Does that make people nervous, or is it just this topic or this trading is just too hot on it for people to recognize that?
I think it's a bit of both, right? So we have naturally any hack that occurs in Bitcoin space kind of puts a little darker shadow over the whole space, the whole crypto space. And we've had a couple of those. Some exchanges don't follow all that great of security protocols.
Yeah.
Binance is probably a good example of one that does, despite the recent hack. They have pretty robust infrastructure.
Sure.
And they have an insurance fund for situations that occur like this. So they immediately shut down any withdrawals and deposits and actually recovered all the funds through their insurance fund. So all of that kind of, at the end of the day, things are okay in that area, but I still think there's a lot of concerns waiting for some further adoption.
I think so, too, because I think this area is real new, kind of like the Wild Wild West, right? Kind of new, and I think it's an emerging market, and certainly some folks would like to take advantage of the wild swings that are, and there's certain traders out there that love that kind of action. I can't blame them, right? But there's risks to that, too. But certainly, for instance, with this particular company, this is just a good example that, we need to work on some of that. And you're right, there are some dark areas. And I think as the cryptocurrency market emerges, I think it's got to mature still. Your thoughts on maturing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're still very early in the adoption cycle for cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Just simply sending a Bitcoin from one person to the next can still kind of be difficult for somebody doing it their first time. And so as we start to build up better use cases and like the user interface of many of these applications or websites, exchanges, continue to get improved upon, I think adoption will start seeing that ramp up, and we'll start seeing less of these issues kind of be exploited.
Yeah, and I think as we can demonstrate, or companies can demonstrate, if you will, those firewalls of safety, I think then you're going to start getting some more people coming into the space, because some people are still going to be shying away from it. And certainly, as this Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market emerges, people are going to want that type of safety. Am I going to be okay if I trade in this area? And I think it's in the best interest of the market to be able to demonstrate that and shore up some of those safeties and some of those firewalls, so it becomes a protected industry. Much like, I think where they want to be, Taylor, is I think they want to be in the same space or same area of safety, if you will, and known like a PayPal or a Square or payment processors, right? I think they want to be next to that in way of the thought of being safe. And certainly those are some of those people are going to want to get there. Hey, big houses coming in and trading, taking a stake in Bitcoin, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know too much about that necessarily right now, and until we see some like official news behind it. Right now, there's tons of rumors in the crypto space.
Yeah.
People jumping in, trading their own cryptocurrency, such as Facebook.
Right.
And so it's still a lot of the news is sort of in this hype cycle around this move, and we're seeing a lot of new news come out. People making announcements or saying that, yeah, now we're in cryptocurrencies, but
right.
Waiting to see how once we kind of let the dust settle around this recent move, then we'll actually start seeing some official press releases and stuff come out.
Sure, and we're seeing a lot of that, don't we? In the old days, we used to see a lot of that where the companies that are public companies would come out with news and say, hey, we're a part of this now, or now we're in this business, and certainly it would tend to give a pop to their stocks and what have you. Hey, let's talk about, so we've got trade wars going on with China right now, big in the news right now, right? Is this helping or hurting Bitcoin, in your thoughts?
I think for the most part, it helps Bitcoin in a way, right? So Bitcoin can be sort of seen as like it's the strongest non-sovereign currency potentially, right? If you look at it at that point of view. And so if you're in a country where your local currency can be dipping or dropping in value, and you have tight restrictions around what you can do with your currencies in your country, you're going to look for a non-sovereign currency that you can actually move into without the government threatening of taking that away or unable to take that away from you. So if the Chinese begin buying up Bitcoin in large amounts, or especially wealthier individuals in that country, we can start seeing Bitcoin continue to rise. And I think we saw a bit of that in 2017.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see another cycle of that now.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, governments really don't know how to handle cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, right? They really don't know how to handle it because where do they? Government always has this way of reaching out and touching something or blessing it or not blessing it, but they don't know how to handle Bitcoin because where do they go to govern it? They can't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the appeal here, right? That's what we're talking about here, especially with what you're saying, right?
Exactly. And even if I'm a wealthy Chinese. And I'm wanting to move money out of the country, moving into Bitcoin before moving it into another currency is probably the only way to do that anyways. So especially without the government kind of regulating the movement of funds.
Right.
So they can easily, many different ways you can buy Bitcoin and trade it without actually having to go on an exchange.
Right.
So as long as you're solving your own problems and avoiding washing your own funds of your bank, moving to Bitcoin, I think is an easy way to do that.
So the wealthy literally have a path to move money around, probably anonymously, without having it being traced. That seems to me that they would want to have a vehicle like that, but they also have an inherent risk with the price of Bitcoin and the volatility, correct?
Trade war started going south.
Yeah.
And then now Bitcoin's gone up 25, 30%.
Sure.
100% over the past 3-4 months, then why would they want to get out if they've just returned 100% on the funds they moved into Bitcoin? So it's sort of chicken and the egg at this point where they're trying to just transfer funds and like, oh, well, I've gone up 100% in 3 months, so why would I sell now?
Right. All right. So Bitcoin's certainly getting a lot of favor. We're almost out of time. Google's seeing a lot of increase. We're out of time. All right, we got 30 seconds. Hey, Taylor, where can we find you at over there at Simpler Trading? Where's that at?
Yep. simplertrading.com, and then we teach everything from options to crypto.
All right, options, crypto, and all that good stuff. Great folks over there. Certainly Taylor's one of them. Taylor Letterman, head on over to simplertrading.com today. Taylor, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
You're more than welcome. Hey, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.